Hi, and welcome to the Modern Persian Food podcast. We are food bloggers,
Bita Arabian,
and Bita Nazem Kelley, and we're here to share with you the rich flavors and fresh ingredients of Persian cooking and how to incorporate them into today's modern lifestyles.
We're excited to introduce you to the flavors, tastes, and techniques we use, and also our own cultural stories and perspectives growing up in the U.S. in a Persian family. Thank you for joining us. Hello, welcome to Modern Persian Food, episode 85. Today we're doing something a little different. We are going to rebroadcast an episode which was our first ever special guest talking about weddings. We had Nilou Nouri, a wedding officiant, talk about all things Persian weddings. And we thought there's no time like the present to talk about weddings with summer around the corner, people starting to feel more comfortable about getting together for larger gatherings. In this episode, we touch on what makes Persian weddings special, unique, different, and meaningful. We definitely talk about how food plays a role in Persian weddings. And we get into some of the modern twists that folks might put on their Persian weddings. I'm here today with my partner and co-host, Bita June.
Hi there, everybody. Hi there, Bita June. I think this is a great time to replay this episode for everybody as we are jumping into wedding season and as people are having parties again. And I think that one really important note as you listen to this is if you're looking for inspiration as you're getting married or starting a new chapter of your life, you can absolutely do whatever you want. We really encourage you, if you want to have a big wedding, if you want to have a small micro wedding, for you to do whatever you want and to incorporate whatever parts of a traditional Persian wedding ceremony into your own unique and special event. So hopefully you can walk away from this episode learning a little bit more about what happens at a Persian wedding and also inspiration for if you are at that time of your life to incorporate some of those things into your own event.
Good point. Yes, without any further ado, here's that episode. Enjoy!
Obviously, Iranians are fun-loving people, as you both know, and they will take any opportunity to celebrate. So when it's a celebration of love between, the sons or daughters of a family, then that's even bigger and so much grander and more important. So they do go all out. It's probably one of the most important celebrations in a family's life and really in our culture too. What I love about Persian weddings, and especially as an officiant, I started my work in the wedding industry initially as an officiant, and what I love about it is that it really highlights the most beautiful part of our culture, which is poetry, celebration of nature, love. And as Bita June mentioned about the sofre aqd, for example, the ceremony spread, every item on that spread points to either nature or divinity, love, poetry, beauty, abundance. It's all the best wishes that we want for the couple. It's all kind of put together in this beautiful symbolic spread.
Yeah. Bita June, did you have a sofre aqd at your wedding?
I did, yeah. Persian weddings, they can be really ornate. I just wanted to have the basics, and I was really into the meaning of each thing. So I did marry an Iranian man and into an Iranian family, but we have many, Western American friends, and we did a combination of cultures. I had bridesmaids, but we wanted to make it be a Persian wedding, but have some of the traditions that I became accustomed to growing up here in the U.S. And so it was simple and beautiful. And in my program, I listed all of the meanings of everything. How about you?
Yeah, I had a sofre aqd too. My husband is not Persian, so we did like a cross-cultural wedding. This was when I was living in New York. We got married actually at the Brooklyn Winery. We had a more simple sofre aqd too, and there were just some of the elements that I just really wanted to incorporate, specifically like the sugar ceremony and also the honey at the end of the wedding. So the sugar ceremony is basically the bride and groom sit down on a low bench, And there's a piece of special fabric or kind of lacy fabric that traditionally it's happily married women. Is that correct, Nilou? The traditional way is happily married women hold the ends of this fabric.
I have to say every family has their own tradition when it comes to that.
Yes.
But yes, many believe that it should be held by happily married women, although some believe that it should be held by, women of marriageable age or women who are eligible to be married.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. So we kind of took our own approach to it too. I had bridesmaids as well. I had the bridesmaids were holding the fabric over our heads, and my mother and my husband's mother were the people who actually grinded the sugar. So what that means is basically there's two cones kind of made out of sugar. So if you think of like a sugar cube, but a large one made into the shape of a cone, and that's wrapped in lace. And what the sugar ceremony is that these two cones, the bottom of them are rubbed against each other and making that solid piece of sugar into just granular sugar that all falls onto this fabric that is being held over the bride and groom's heads. And what that is adding sweetness to their life. It's symbolic of adding sweetness to their lives. And so for us, what we did during that time is we had two different people read poetry while the sugar was being ground, and that was our version of the Ghan Sabidan ceremony. But as Nilou was saying, I guess everyone can kind of customize that to however way that they want.
Yeah, my bridesmaids also took turns.
Uh-huh.
So they had the instructions of holding the thing and taking turns grinding the sugar to rain sweetness down on the couple, but somehow it ended up taking so long that they were just laughing inside and kind of also dying inside. They joked later that they should have done some arm workouts, that it was so tiring. I don't know how they did their rotation, but to this day, they remember that holding the big sugar and grinding was actually quite a fitness feat.
This ritual symbolizes adding sweetness to the couple's life and marriage. But also another symbolism is that each of those cones represent bride and groom, and we are hoping that every contact between them results in sweetness.
So beautiful. I hadn't heard that before. Yeah. I love that.
And I love that nowadays bridesmaids are involved in this ritual, and especially, I always tell my couples that, especially mixed couples who are marrying, their partner is from outside of the Persian culture, I tell them that this ritual is so easy and beautiful and meaningful, and we should try to involve the other side of the family too, who are not familiar with the Persian ceremony. It's, so easy, like Bita mentioned, to bring in your mother-in-law, your bridesmaids, to learn about this beautiful ritual. But when I officiate ceremonies, I make this part of it not too long, especially because some ladies, their arms will just get so tired. So I just kind of limit this part to the getting the consent from the bride and groom. I only have the ladies come hold the cloth and do this ritual during that part, not the entire ceremony.
Were you ever involved in setting up the sofre as well in your experience with weddings?
I've started actually doing that more recently, moving into the other parts of the wedding work. And certainly now I do set up sofres as well. The food elements, there are some foods that are decorative, highly symbolic. For example, the eggs, they symbolize fertility. And, there are certainly so many eggs on some of these sofres, like 20 or 30 eggs. The other fruits, the fresh fruits that are there, they symbolize abundance and growth. These are all things that we hope for the couple's life and marriage. There's the honey. It's another sweet food to share for the couple in the hopes to bring sweetness to their life and marriage. And honey is also traditionally represented like a love potion. During the Persian ceremony, the bride and groom will give a taste of the honey to one another with their pinky fingers. And we joke that the rules are no dripping and no biting because, they will kind of tease and try to bite each other's pinkies. Depending on where a family is from within Iran itself, depending on what region they're from, there are other foods that come into play, especially during the rituals. So honey is used by most Iranians, regardless of where their ethnic background is from. But for example, people who are from Shiraz, they also share a taste of yogurt. yogurt represents sepid bakhti or sefid bakhti, which is like a bright and light destiny.
That's so fun. I love that. Okay, so let's get to like the main food. I know Bita has a fun story about jawahir rice that you had at your wedding. Tell us about that.
Sure. So one of the most traditional things that's served at Persian weddings is the Shirin Polo, or the jeweled rice, which is like a beautiful, very aromatic rice that has carrots and orange peel and dried fruits and nuts, and on top of a pile of rice that has saffron. And it's such a beautiful, elegant dish, and it's one of my favorites. And so when we went to plan our wedding, we found out that the location where we wanted to have it, in a particular club, they did not allow outside catering. We had to use their internal food. We really wanted to have it at this place. And so what we did was we taught the chef how to make Shirin Polo. So that was maybe my very first time of sharing a recipe, a Persian recipe. So we did actually get to have it. So that was pretty cool. How many Persian weddings have you been to, Nilou Jun?
Professionally, I've been doing this for about close to 15 years. And, I should say that, especially when I'm hired as an officiant, I only go officiate the ceremony, stay for the signing of the documents and then leave soon after. So I do not stay for the entire celebration. When I do travel outside of the country or sometimes outside of the state, I might stay for the reception because I don't have anything else to do in the city, but my work is done after the ceremony and I leave. However, when I'm hired as a planner, then of course I'll be there throughout, from the setup until after the breakdown. Yes, the food, as you mentioned, entirely depends on venues and their restrictions. Although most of them are now allowing, if there's a specific dish that's very traditional to the wedding, they're allowing that to come in. And I've seen some very creative ways of serving that Shirin Polo, the jeweled rice. If a venue does not allow, a Persian buffet to be present at the wedding, I think the most elegant way that I've seen this displayed was at a wedding in Washington, D.C., where it was a sit-down dinner, and in addition to the main plate where the venue had provided, the jeweled rice was served individually in martini glasses for each of the guests. And it was so beautiful and just the right portion and just, stood on its own as it should. But, there's so many different ways of presenting the food at the weddings. It really depends on the family. Some families really want, full Persian buffet. They see this as an opportunity to introduce, all of their non-Persian friends to our food and culture. So they want as much variety as possible and as much as possible. And some people are, they like the more subdued but elegant, sit-down version where obviously you're limited in what your options are.
Well, the food is so good. But one thing I think, if you haven't been to a Persian wedding, you'll be going sometime in the future, hopefully, is to not go hungry and know that it can often be really late when you eat. So you've been a planner. I don't know if this is always the case or if there's modern new ways, but a lot of times there's dancing for quite some time before there's any food. There might be a little bit of appetizers or cucumbers or some finger food, but you need to have energy to dance, and this can be a very late event.
Yes, I think one of the main differences between Persian weddings and maybe Western weddings, as far as the scheduling of the event, is that Persian or non, after the ceremony, usually there's a cocktail hour, and both Persians and Westerns have that. And then when you go into the reception, Persians like to, going with a bang. So they enter the reception, bride and groom and their bridal party perhaps, and they go right into a dancing. After maybe their first dance, they bring everyone up and there's a lot of dancing and huge bang celebration, getting everyone up to, dance for maybe an hour or more. And then they go into, getting a little quieter, maybe sitting down and getting to the dinner and the speeches and more dancing and all of that. Western weddings, they tend to enter the reception a little bit more subdued maybe than the Persian ones, but still fairly enthusiastic. They enter bride and groom and their bridal party, and then the bride and groom have their slow dance, usually, or their first dance. And after that, usually everyone gets seated and they go into the dinner, and then the speeches, maybe another dance by the couple, the father-daughter dance, mother-son dance, those kinds of things. They might even, serve the cake even after that. And then they get into the dancing. And the dancing is usually much shorter than it is in the Persian weddings.
Yeah, dancing is definitely a big part of Persian weddings. Like, how much can you dance before the night is over? It's like your feet hurt. You're like, okay. So we just heard about the delicious foods and the role that they play in a typical Persian wedding, and also about all the dancing, the sofre act, and all the different ceremonial portions of the Persian wedding. So hopefully this has brought some inspiration to you, and also just some clarity that if you're going to a Persian wedding, to understand what is really going on behind all of the different elements on the sofre and what to expect. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. You can definitely listen to the full episode from episode number 20. And again, we had our special guest, Nilou Nouri from Nilou Weddings. Thank you all so much for listening.
Hey, Beata.
Hey.
Hey. Just wanted to say something.
Yes.
Happy anniversary!
And Beata, happy anniversary to you too.
Thank you.
Along with us officially being in wedding season, it is both Beata's wedding anniversary and my wedding anniversary. Beata and her husband Bobby are now almost at 25 years of an amazing marriage. And me and my husband, Paul, are about to celebrate 10 years of being married as well. So
big milestones for both of us.
Big milestones.
Oh, congratulations. I have to look up what it is. Do you guys do that? Rock, paper, scissors? It's not rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, we do actually. And I better get on that because I haven't gotten anything.
What is it? I hope mine is diamonds. No, I'm just kidding.
I know yours. The 25th anniversary is silver.
Okay. All right.
But I got to look up what the 10-year anniversary is. So, all right. And with that, thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food podcast with Bita and Beata. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts and see you next time.